Aloha! For those of you who are watching live, we appreciate you sticking around through the technical difficulties. So, welcome to another episode of Think Tech Hawaii's Education, Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. I'm your host, Carl Campagna. Many people believe that education can be the silver bullet or the linchpin that can help solve problems like homelessness, drug addiction, social division, and income inequality. And in Hawaii, of all places, where our many intertwined cultures all cherish our keiki and do all we can to open doors for their successes, would we not assume that a high priority is placed on having a world-class educational system? On this show, we talk about the programs available to our keiki, the quality of our facilities and infrastructure, addressing deferred maintenance, increasing the number of cool rooms for our keiki and teachers, a more comprehensive curriculum approach, as well as appropriately recognizing and valuing our teachers and administrative staff. And perhaps most importantly, what life and career opportunities are we providing for our keiki to thrive today and tomorrow? Today, we have three very important and special guests with regards to teachers. A lot of time is spent talking about teachers, how good they are, how bad they are, and how we measure them, how we assess the teachers. And oftentimes, many people say that we should assess them through test scores, through our students, our keiki's grades. And to a certain extent, maybe there's some truth in that, but I think there's much more. And I think it's not fair just to say test scores are the answer. I think it's a much larger question, and it really requires responsibility of many people. To help us really explore this today, we have three guests today that really are involved in an amazing program, a mentoring and induction program for new teachers. So we're going to explore how the teachers are trained and what supports they receive. So please welcome our guests. We have Miss Sherrie Shimomoto. Miss Keri Shimomoto, Miss Sherrie Ideue,
Right.
and Miss Christine Toyama. All right, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you being on the show.
We're happy to be here. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. So, okay, tell us first of all, what is your program?
Well, we all work in induction and mentoring. Christine is actually a new teacher. She's started a couple months ago, and she'll tell you a little bit more about that. Sherry's one of our mentors, and actually Christine's mentor. And I work, I'm an educational specialist in the Department of Education. I have the opportunity to support the department in building out a high quality induction and mentoring program for all teachers across the state.
Excellent, excellent. What does induction mean in this case?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people think induction and mentoring are one and the same, but really mentoring is one of what we believe to be one of the key components of a high quality induction program. So making sure that teachers have, new teachers especially, have the support that they need to be off to a good start. Our induction program aims to help teachers get better faster, and we do this by assigning them a trained instructional mentor to support them about 1 to 2 hours a week, every week, for their first 2 years. Induction also includes making sure, they have an orientation, that they are oriented not only to their complex area and the initiatives there, but also to the school culture, the community, helping to make sure that the beginning teachers have just-in-time professional development opportunities available to them, networks, support. So induction includes all of those different components.
Okay, so you included some of the things that a new teacher will learn in there. Is there a sort of a comprehensive approach of how do you approach this program in the creation of it and then the implementation?
Right. So I want to say about 10 years ago, we were at the peak where we were losing 50% of our teachers within the first 3 years of teaching, and at about that time, I think we were exploring how are we supporting our teachers and how are we ensuring that they were able to be successful, feel successful, and want to stay in teaching. Our latest data shows that we're losing maybe 37% now in their first 3 years. So we've improved the retention somewhat. We definitely have a ways to go. One of the things we've started maybe about 5 years ago is we adopted what we call teacher induction program standards to help all the complex areas in building up high quality, what we know to be more rigorous induction programs that are known to support teachers not only in retaining them, but actually helping them to get better faster.
Okay.
And so these program standards really help guide the different complex areas to ensure that, regardless of how they're doing their induction for their teachers, that they are meeting certain standards in doing
Okay.
so, including having trained mentors and
Sure.
yeah.
It sounds like a great program, and I guess not knowing that the program existed before we started talking, I guess I'd hoped or assumed that one would exist. So I was very happy to learn, this was a few weeks ago, very happy to learn that it does exist to help the teachers along the way. What would you say, okay, first of all, are we really talking about only new teachers? Or are we talking about continuing that training beyond just the first 2 or 3 years?
Well, I think we definitely expect that there's a continuum of support and professional development for all teachers. The program that we work on right now really focuses on teachers in their first 3 years of teaching.
Okay.
So new to the profession.
Now, what about when, is any of this subject matter specific, class specific, class subject specific, or is it general?
Both. I think, we have a little over 600 mentors across the state working with up to about 1,300 first and second year teachers right now. And so while we do our best to pair them in subject alike, it's not always the case. And there are actually some benefits to, for example, Sherrie can tell you, she mentors from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade.
Wow.
And I know I've had some principals share that some high school principals ask for elementary trained mentors because they feel that they bring with them a lot more, a lot of tools in how to engage students in different ways and different modalities. So
And that would be important.
Right.
I would guess that really would be important.
Yeah.
So, well, let's hear from you on that. As far as that, I mean, that's a wide range. So yes, the skill sets necessary to teach kindergarten are different than 5th grade, 9th grade, and then 12th grade. So how do you prepare for that? How are you, I don't know, how have you, let's start this. What brought you to being a mentor? Let's start there.
Okay. Well, actually, I was in the classroom 7 years ago, and even before that, my principal came up to me and wanted to know if I would be interested in becoming a school level mentor, because he was noticing that we were getting a lot more new teachers coming into the school, and I think he saw a need to provide some support to them. So, he came to me and asked me if I would be interested in this. Back then, it was a newly developed idea of having mentoring in the schools, and Keri was she was a part of that. Back then, it was called Project Care. And so, I agreed to do that because I was reflecting back on my own teaching experience, and I didn't have a mentor when I first started, and I thought how wonderful it would have been for me when I first started teaching if I had had one. So I decided, this was something that interested me, so I decided to go ahead and do that. And through Project Care, which is what Keri was involved in, they provided some training. And that was a big help for me.
Okay, so mentoring training.
Mentoring training,
Okay.
which was specific to just helping beginning teachers get started. And it was mentoring, I guess, as an instructional mentor, to be an instructional mentor. So
Okay.
those trainings really helped to prepare me to help beginning teachers no matter what subject area, no matter what grade they taught.
So it's teaching the teachers.
Mentoring them, and coaching them. And I think a beginning teacher, no matter if they're kindergarten or if they're a high school teacher, they all have basically similar needs.
Okay.
The need for feedback in their teaching, the need for emotional support, the need for just somebody to advocate for
Constructive
them.
criticism, by the way.
And Christine can share a little bit
every
more
now
about
and then.
some of the
Yeah, no,
supports that she's.
I look forward to
she's
hearing some of that as
receiving.
well. So, okay, well, let's jump back a little bit more and say, okay, how, you said there are 600 mentors currently? How are they selected are they all among current teachers, or how are the mentors selected?
That's a great question, and probably one of the most important factors to a really successful program is mentor selection, making sure you have the right mentors. And Christine can talk to you about that also. But you know, there are different models of induction and mentoring programs in the different complex areas. The one that Sherrie's a part of is a model where we have selected and trained up excellent teachers who have mentor-like qualities that are looking to grow, I guess, as teacher leaders. And so we've pulled them out of the classroom. They're fully released. So Sherrie no longer has a classroom of students, but instead she has up to 15 new teachers that she works with every week.
Okay, so that has its own challenges.
So that
And blessings.
yeah.
Of course, there are
Right.
blessings
Yeah.
there. Yes.
We rely, you asked how are they selected. So in
Yeah.
this case, depending, you know, the complex area superintendent or the program coordinator will help to select and hire. We also really look to the principals to help identify teachers who have, you know, been successful in the classroom themselves, of course. That would be
Yeah.
hugely important.
So you do at least primarily begin from the teacher core.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and that would make sense. But so yeah, so it's teachers that are within a program that are particularly successful or have shown some leadership skills, and then you go through the process to invite them in to talk with them about that. Do you miss the classroom?
I do, actually. I miss working with students, you know, but I get a chance to be with students whenever I'm with my, you know, mentees.
I guess that's
if
true.
I'm in the classroom with them and I'm doing an observation, I get to see the students as well and get, you know, some opportunity to interact with them from time to time. And yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Christine, we'll go a bit more into you in the next segment.
Okay.
But first, everything that you've heard so far, what is your impression of it's only been a couple of months. They sort of threw you in. You got thrown in. It's like, okay, go. How has that felt in the last few months?
It's been really overwhelming, but great with the support of not just the mentor program, but also my administration and my grade level team is really amazing in supporting me. But it's helped me to get to this point. I'm not really sure if I would be here without the support of my mentor and just the whole program itself, all the things that they have to offer. So I completely agree with everything that Sherrie and Keri had to say about the program. I'm a believer and a product of what they've done and what they've worked for, and yeah, I completely agree with.
So it's been very beneficial, and it has helped give you some skills and some confidence.
Yes, confidence, skills, resources, a number of things that are really, I think, invaluable to beginning teachers, brand new teachers. I mean, resources, confidence, like you said, was a really big thing. Classroom management skills, how to relate to students, all of those things that I feel that they've gained through their teaching experience has really
now sharing.
has been really beneficial for me.
Okay, well, excellent. We're gonna learn a little bit more about you in the next segment, but at the moment we're gonna take a quick break. So thank you for joining us. This is Think Tech Hawaii's Education Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. I'm your host, Carl Campagna, and we have our guests, Keri, Sherrie, and Christine. So see you in a minute. Thanks.
Hello, and I am the host of Business in Hawaii. Business in Hawaii is a show where we invite guests to come on and explain the secrets of their success for having a successful business in Hawaii. Contrary to popular belief, having a successful business in Hawaii is possible, and there are many examples of that. So please tune in on Thursdays at 2 o'clock, and you can catch us live on livestream.com for our Business in Hawaii show. You can also get the archives on hawaiitechhawaii.com, and we're also on YouTube and also on Oleo and OC16 occasionally. So please join us, find out the secrets of success, how to have a successful business, and I hope to see you on Thursdays.
Aloha, welcome back to Think Tech Hawaii's Education Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. I'm your host, Carl Campagna, and once again, from the Department of Education here in the state of Hawaii, we have Keri, Sherrie, and Christine. So thank you. This is the Teacher Induction and Mentoring Program that we're talking about. I want to jump to Christine a bit more, and I want to learn a bit more about you. And okay, you're a new teacher
Yes, brand new.
for a couple of months, the beginning of this year.
Yes, January.
Okay, how did that happen?
I actually graduated from a state-approved teaching educational program in December, which
okay.
was mid-year. And so I was
Okay.
looking for a job in January.
And there was an availability at Fern.
Yes, I
Excellent.
applied for the position.
I see, that's spectacular. That's wonderful.
Yes.
So what program was that? Where was it?
Chaminade University.
Through Chaminade.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so good. More plugs for local
Yes.
schools. We love that.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So okay, so you're teaching at Fern. You're teaching 5th grade.
Correct.
Is there a particular subject matter, or is 5th grade so you're covering a lot of ground?
Covering a lot of ground. So
Okay.
language arts, math, science, and social studies.
Okay, that is a lot of ground.
Yes.
That is a- so through Chaminade, you had to learn all of those areas to
I
be able
did.
to present
I
that,
did.
as well as, I guess, the general concept of how to teach.
Yes.
So how to pull together your lesson
Classroom
plans and all that.
management, lesson plans, yes.
Okay. And did you choose 5th grade, or was that just the opening?
That was the opening.
Okay.
That was the opening.
But you're prepared for any level, or no?
Yes. My experience actually for student teaching was actually in 2nd grade. So for me, it was definitely a challenge because I wasn't very familiar with the curriculum or just even how to build relationships with 5th graders because they're a lot older than 2nd graders. So
Sure.
Starting in January, working with older kids was a little intimidating.
And you realize that they're smarter than you thought.
Yes.
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 Yes, I have a 5th grader. I understand.
Oh.
that. All right, so dig a little deeper there. What made you choose teaching as a profession?
I actually didn't want to go into teaching.
No.
Yes, I was actually my undergraduate degree is in business,
Okay.
but after I graduated, I moved to Japan on the JET program to teach English.
Oh, okay.
After coming home, I worked part-time as a teacher at a high school. Didn't really like working with high schoolers, so moved to an elementary school, and that's how I ended up here.
Alrighty, alrighty. Okay. So tell us about your class at the moment. How many students do you have in your classroom?
I have 24 students in my classroom.
24. Is
Yes.
that a preferred number?
I
Is that a
think
consistent
so.
number?
I think 24 is
we hear all kinds of things.
Yeah.
People say, I've got 35 kids in my class. Like, okay, well, is that true? Is there a truth to that sometimes, that there are that many kids in one class?
I think there can be, yeah.
Yeah, but I've also seen, my son, he's in 5th grade, he goes to Kamehameha schools. They have 24.
Yeah.
They always have 24. I think as they maybe get into 7th grade, they add a few more, I'm not sure. But at the moment, I know for the last couple of years, 24 is sort of the magic number. So that's the sort of preferred number, and you're comfortable with that number.
Yeah. I think that's a good size.
Alrighty. So okay, you were telling us a bit about your experience so far with the mentoring program.
Yes.
Let's dig a little deeper and say, okay, you came into it perhaps having some confidence, or you're just still trying to find your way a little bit, which is true.
Still completely trying to find my way. I mean, because I started mid-year, there wasn't a whole lot of, I didn't get the big orientation that everybody got. It was a very brief orientation, but I'm glad I had that in itself. This is the staff, these are the custodians, this is where your classroom's gonna be, here's the library, here's the cafeteria. These are some things you need to have ready before school starts. This is our schedule, calendar. So a lot of the important things, but
So it's not just, here's the keys, go.
No. Your
classroom's
So-
over there, go find it.
Yes, I actually had about a week to prepare, but my classroom is still very much, you could tell it's a new teacher classroom. There's not a whole lot up on the walls, but I think that helps the kids to not get distracted.
Sure, so you had a week to prepare. That was
Yes.
preparing your lesson plan, preparing your classroom, preparing your approach, all of the above.
All of the above.
Okay. Anything
Yes.
else that you were like, what's part of that preparation process?
It was, I think for me, just trying to wrap my head around the idea that, okay, I'm actually going to be a teacher in charge of 24 students. I need to get my act together, planning lessons, getting materials ready, organizing the classroom, figuring out where I'm going to seat them, figuring out arrangements, who am I working with, like who are the other grade level teachers that I need to know, all of that. I mean, it was just it happened so quickly. I can't believe it's starting March.
Yeah,
but
already.
I mean, yeah.
And you
it's
barely breathed, right?
Yes, yes.
Well,
Yes.
excellent. So now, did you get to choose your mentor? How did that work?
I did not.
No.
I'm not really sure how that side worked, but
Oh, well then please tell
I-
us, how does that happen?
Well, the complex area that she works in, they have an induction program coordinator who sort of oversees the assignments. So, like I had mentioned, the mentors in that complex area, or any full release mentor in the state, wouldn't have more than hopefully 15 teachers to mentor. So the coordinator looks at caseload,
Right.
looks to see where Sherrie is already mentoring so that her travel time is not crazy and she's not spending all her time on the road.
Well, that's nice.
And so,
Yeah.
you know.
You appreciate that, right?
Yeah, I do. I do. It just tries to keep the mentors in one little area.
So you also live in that area, or do you live somewhere else?
I live somewhere else,
Okay.
but most of my mentees are in the Farrington complex.
Okay.
So Christine's name appeared on my new list.
And you said,
And
oh,
I
I'll
said,
take her.
okay, I have a new mentee. Yay!
Okay.
Her name is
Okay.
Christine. She's at Fern, and one of the most, I think, important things for me, at least, is to make sure I get in touch with the beginning teacher as soon as possible, so that she or he knows that there's support for them right away. So I did get a chance to meet Christine during her 1 week of quick prep time. So, and I remember that day
Yes.
when I walked into
She
her
walked in.
classroom. It was-
Were her eyes like this big?
I said, I'm gonna, if you're free, I can come by and introduce myself to you. And she says, oh, please. We made contact over the
Yes.
phone, right? And she says, please come down. Yes. I said, okay, anytime is fine. She goes, anytime is fine. I'll be here in my classroom all day. I'm setting up. And I said, okay. So I popped on over, and I had some time too. So I said, I can stay for a little bit to help you, answer questions or help you prepare in any way. And I just wanted to make sure I made contact with her as soon as possible. And so I remember walking into the classroom, and she had all her auntie, her uncle, her
family,
brother, her
whole
whole
family.
family was in
Whole
her room.
No joke. Whole
Setting
family.
up, right?
Setting
Everything.
up,
Okay.
Cleaning,
Her-
organizing,
Her
wiping
uncle was
desks.
standing on a table, like dusting the wall.
Beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful.
Everybody, it was like a team effort in her room,
Yeah.
and I popped in and I introduced myself and gave her a big hug, and she just pulled me right in.
Yep.
Excellent.
And just started.
Excellent.
I remember you were excited, and you seemed really slightly overwhelmed, excited, and just had a million questions.
Sure.
And I said, I can come back on another day or stay if you want to. And she made space for me on this table. She goes, no, sit down. I have a million more questions to ask you. And we just got
See? And
just
you know
got
what?
started.
That's a credit.
right
That's a
there.
credit to you. That's a credit to you saying, you know what? I feel like I'm in over my head, but you know what? I need
Yes.
all the help, all the
That's
support,
exactly
and
what she
everything I can
said.
possibly
Yes,
get. Please
exactly.
stay.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's exactly
Kick me
what
if I
she
need
said.
to be kicked.
And I said,
Whatever.
I said, you have your family going? She goes, they'll be fine. Just sit here. And
Yes,
she goes,
yes.
I want to talk
Excellent,
to you. So
excellent.
it was.
Is that typical? Is that a typical first teacher engagement?
Yeah, I wouldn't say typical, but it's happened, a lot.
Okay. Okay.
Sometimes it's just, okay, we set up over the phone, we do set up a meeting, first meeting, and it's a little calmer because, family's not all, but I think you're like the second or third teacher I've walked in and that had family in there and sitting up. And
Sure.
Yeah.
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 So that sort of sense of, oh, okay, we're overwhelmed, and how do we handle it? Well, How
Mhm.
often, really, middle of the year jumping in. First of all, again, thank you for being a teacher, and thank you for jumping in. But how often does middle of the year happen? Because I can see how that could be an adjustment for the kids, too.
It happens often. In fact, I started my teaching career same way as Christine, right in the middle of the year. And I think
Okay.
you said
And
the
I did
same.
too.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. So that seems
Yes.
fairly, 100% at the moment at this stage.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fascinating. So, okay. So is there an assessment process as far as you are concerned for your mentees? Or how does the whole program work as far as whether you know that they're ready to be on their own?
Well, we're here to support the beginning teachers. For myself, I do give a beginning of the year or beginning of our work together an assessment just to see what kinds of needs the beginning teacher has. But as far as mentors assessing the beginning teachers,
Performance? It's the principal.
it's the principals that assess
The principals do the
performance
assessment of
through
it,
their
okay.
evaluations.
And then you'll communicate then with the principals as far as what might be needed more, or?
No, actually, our mentoring is it's separate from what the principals are there to evaluate and support too. But the mentoring program, I think, is basically there to help support. Our work is directly with the beginning teacher. And,
Okay.
Right. Sherrie does meet regularly though with the principal, because she also mentors in. There are other teachers that you also mentor at Fern, right?
Right.
And so our mentors and principals actually meet regularly to
talk about the program.
What types of supports they're providing.
Yes.
They do, at certain times of the year, they'll do
Good.
goal setting. Sometimes
Yeah.
they're doing analyzing student work together and just sharing with the principal some things that are happening. And principal has opportunity to share also with the mentor some of the school priorities or professional development initiatives that are happening, so that Sherrie could go in and follow up with and support the teacher.
I would imagine, because there are things such as, okay, by the way, thank you for joining our class. We have family night next week. Get ready to volunteer for 3 things.
Right.
Which 3 things do you want to do? What? I just put my class
Right.
together. So there's a whole lot of adjustment in that. And do you help with all of those, or is it really just classroom?
I think it's a lot. Yeah, all, I would say.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so you think it's been a benefit,
Yes, huge.
and you never want her to leave, right?
Pretty much. We were just talking about, I know, really. I was like, does it really have to end at 2 years? Because I really don't know what I would have done. I mean, she came in before I even started, and the advice and the suggestions that she made for my first couple of weeks of school were invaluable. I mean, I wouldn't have done it the same way if I didn't have her advice. And I think because she's had several first days of school, she was able to help me, this is what worked for me, but you're your own person, so do what feels comfortable for you, but these are some things you might want to cover, these are some things you might want to think about, these are some things you might want to be ready for in case it happens. And I mean, there were so many different things I hadn't thought about, and she was able to share that with me. And I really think because of that, it was a little rough in the beginning, but I made it. And I really credit Sherrie with a lot of those things.
So
I do.
it's that very first moment that all of a sudden you're on and you've got 24 sets of eyes going,
Yes.
huh? Looking at you, like, then what? All right, we're going to take one more little break.
Okay.
And then we'll come back and we'll talk about, something else. So again, thank you so much for joining us. This is Think Tech Hawaii's Education Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. I'm your host, Carl Campagna, and we have Keri, Sherrie, and Christine. Thank you.
Aloha, my name is Justina Spiritu, and I'm the co-host of Hawaii Farmers Series. This is my co-host, Matthew Johnson, and you can catch us every Thursday at 4 p.m. at thinktechhawaii.com. What do we talk about, Matt?
So on Hawaii Farmers Series, we're going to be bringing on the farmers and also supporter of farmers, including restaurants, caterers, as well as government supporters and nonprofits, to hear their background stories and understanding our local ag community just a little bit better.
Yeah, essentially there's a lot more that goes into farming and the local food community beyond just producing the food. And we want to feature and get the background story on all these folks and see how we all work together as a community. So join us every Thursday. Aloha.
Okay, sorry.
Aloha, welcome back to Think Tech Hawaii's Education Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. Once again, I'm your host, Carl Campagna, and we have Keri, Sherrie, and Christine. So, just a second ago, we were talking about this. Okay, so it's a 2-year program. It's a 2-year mentoring program. So it's 2 years from January for you.
Right.
I think so, yes.
Right.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
So when we were talking earlier about assessment, I was thinking, yes, there's the principal assessment of the classroom and what's happening, and that's standard for all teachers. But as far as the mentoring program is concerned, what are the guidelines? What are the checklists? What are the things that you're looking for, and want to make sure that she has pulled together within that 2-year period?
I think that communication between the principal, the administrator, with the mentor. We do have quarterly meetings. The mentors meet with our administrators on a quarterly basis, and we get to hear from our principals the things that they're the things that they're seeing with their beginning teachers. When we're in those meetings, our mentors are also sharing successes of the beginning teacher and whatever the beginning teacher feels comfortable with. So I always go back to, Christine, and I ask her, I'm going to meet with your principal soon. Is there anything you'd like me to highlight or, focus in on? So whatever she's comfortable with sharing, that's what I'm there for, to communicate those things.
Okay, so you're sort of a liaison in that regard.
Many times they don't have that time, in the school day to talk to, their administrator and share something. So
I can certainly see how that happens.
Yes,
The day
yes.
just sort of gets away from you at some point.
Right,
And then next
right.
thing you know, you have grading and scoring and all kinds of
Yes.
things to do. And then, oh, by the way, now it's
Yes.
6 o'clock.
Right,
I gotta
right,
go home.
right.
So yeah, okay.
Mhm.
All right, well, so let's jump in a slightly different angle here and say, what are some of the challenges that a new teacher will have? What are some of the challenges that the program has as far as trying to implement this and trying to make sure that it has been effective? Have there been challenges, and what have you experienced?
As far as a program, challenges around implementing a program like this, it's always cost and resources, right? So how do we resource it, find the budget to do this? I want to say that there are huge costs associated with losing teachers when there's teacher attrition. It's in the millions. I think there are reports that have been done. I think one of the things we're trying to do is make sure that we have the data to show that by not only helping teachers to get better faster, but helping to retain teachers, it's actually being a lot more proactive in sort of fronting the resources so that we lose less teachers, and that in itself is a cost benefit to it, but really there's no...
When you can keep them, and you've had some success there.
When you can keep them, absolutely. We've
Is
had
there
some
any
success
correlation? I mean, let me ask this question first. How long has this program been in existence?
Well, the different, there are 15 complex areas that the Department of Education is broken up into sort of geographically, and every complex area has had, I think, some sort of support, some type of support in the last maybe 5 years before we started implementing the induction program standards. But it was sort of a patchwork of programs. Some were better than others. There wasn't real consistent support. I think now with the induction program standards and through the work that I have the opportunity to do, which is work with the 15 complex area induction program coordinators and their complex area superintendents to help build up programs, I think, at least for me, I see that there are a lot of really great people who care a lot about helping teachers to be successful from the start in the 15 complex areas, and we work together a lot to try to address some of the challenges, some of the common challenges that we have. But again, it's sort of being able to have some proof points to show that this is how this is not only helping with retention, but how it's helping teachers to get better, and as a result,
Right,
how
yeah.
students
I would imagine
are
there are
benefiting.
measurements
Right, right.
that you have to make sure that you're hitting.
Right.
So one of those measurements is it's a successful teacher. She is being very successful. What does that mean if they're a successful teacher as opposed to an unsuccessful teacher? Does that mean, well, the unsuccessful teacher quits and they leave? The successful teacher is the one who sticks around. How do you look at successful teacher versus unsuccessful?
I think when we look at the success of a teacher, you have to look at the students and how the students are doing. And so it's, looking at the growth of the students in the classroom. When we think about, teachers being successful and wanting to stay versus teachers who are not, I think if you're not feeling efficacious in what you're doing, you're less likely to stick around and continue to do it, right? You're going to be less happy. No teacher really, I don't know any teacher that has come in to say, I want to do a terrible job. I'm coming into teaching and I want to be a bad teacher. Nobody,
No,
everybody
of course
wants
not.
to be successful, I think. And so making sure that there are supports in place for them to access is hugely important, I think, for
Absolutely.
for
I think that
teachers.
would definitely be. And I think in
Right.
many jobs, having that person there is
absolutely
very important.
And you look at different occupations,
Absolutely.
and there's
Sometimes it's
internship
just getting used to
periods,
this
there's-
environment, let alone what to do in that environment.
Right.
So there's a lot of, the interpersonal aspects of
Right.
it, and there's all the challenges, and that's what you get to deal with. Thrown in high, middle of the year, hi everybody, I'm going to do this
Right.
now. Who are you? Great.
Right.
Okay, that's wonderful. So that's stress and pressure. You're several months in now. you're calmer, you're relaxed?
Well, I would say I'd like to think so. I think it's just more being comfortable with all the resources that the mentorship program has provided. It's going back to what you said earlier about being confident and really believing in what I'm doing, and seeing and realizing that I'm actually capable of doing it, and doing a good job at it. So I think what was really important for me in those first couple of weeks was building relationships with the students, like just taking some time to really get to know them. Coming in mid-year.
One-on-one.
Yes. So that was a suggestion that Sherrie made, and it made a huge difference in my classroom climate and management of the students.
Yeah. I think parents need to learn that.
Yes.
Oftentimes parents need to learn how to remember to individually connect. So, which brings me to the sort of the next thing, going back to how are we measuring a successful teacher? Is it the test score? Where does the test score fit within how successful a student is, let alone the teacher?
I'm not too familiar. Because for me, the mentoring and induction program, it's not evaluative. I mean, it's very reflective. So we have observations. A lot of those have actually helped me in my teaching, which I think really helps the students in getting or performing well or doing well on tests. But the mentorship program, in my opinion, is more about helping the teachers, and in helping the teachers.
You're hoping to transfer that.
Yes, to the students. So there's not a lot of testing. It's just reflecting and looking at the data and saying, okay, look at where I was a month ago. Look at where I'm at now. And seeing that growth. And how has that translated to my students? Well, now I'm able to actually teach curriculum instead of trying to manage the class. I can move into teaching curriculum, and we can focus on building their skills in math and reading.
So that I can see how that then has an impact then on the students.
Yes.
So
You had mentioned earlier about challenges.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the challenges.
Yeah, I remember one of her big focus and her challenge was on classroom management.
Yeah.
And in focusing in on that and really we use formative assessment tools in our program to help the beginning teacher reflect on his or her teaching practice. Through those tools and our reflective conversations, which is weekly, that weekly support, as well as I think Christine mentioned observations and feedback, she's been now able to move away from classroom management into instruction, and getting students engaged 100% and really focusing in on that part of the teaching area.
However, all along, the kids are expected to be learning subject matter.
Right.
So that's the struggle for you, is you're saying, okay, I actually need to be teaching them, while at the same time figuring out how to manage this. So as you get more comfortable in the management side, now you start to really work, and so that's what you're saying. It's sort of processed then. So so what's
and
next?
Now success of teaching.
What's next? So now you're focusing on the curriculum itself and the teaching, the coursework, and really digging in there. That goes on for a while. What follows? Is there, as far as the program is concerned, what follows?
It's continuously building upon that.
Just building and getting more and more. So it's just building the skills and building the confidence and making sure that you have complete command of the classroom and all the little bits and pieces that go with it. So, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So we only have a few minutes left, so that makes me a little sad. But so, okay. What has been the single, sorry, Christine, there's been a lot on you lately, but what is the single most impactful thing that you have gained from the mentor program? Is there one?
That's a hard one. I think for me, the most impactful, there's two. I'm gonna just do two. Was the emotional support that Sherrie provided. I can call her at any time, night, day, during my lunch break, during class if I have to, and she's always there to just listen and offer suggestions or ideas. And I think just in the short 2 months that I've been teaching, there was one observation that she came and did, and we were able to debrief really quickly at recess before my class came back, and I was able to implement her suggestions, and from that point on, my entire classroom climate completely changed. I think it was because of that observation, and I called her right after to tell her. I was like, oh my gosh, I did what you said and it worked, and it's amazing. I don't even know how you did that. Like, it's just like magic.
It's like
And
magic, yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a struggle with one particular student, but the suggestions that she offered really affected my entire class.
So
And from there, it
what
was
was
like
that suggestion?
just
you
to
share that
be
with us?
more fun. Like, there's a balance that you need to have as a teacher with, being strict and consistent, but also letting them see the playful side of you, and so just kind of playing off of that. And so
Yeah.
instead of just being harsh and, sit down, or I asked you to do
Connecting
this.
at different levels.
Yes, connecting again, going back to building that relationship with the kids. It was just kind of play around with it, and I did, and it was amazing and so much fun for me, not having to feel like I always have to be this way, so it was really eye-opening for me as well. Like, hey, I can have fun too, it's not always about being so strict all the time, but knowing when and how to do that.
Sure,
So
sure.
that
Okay.
was
Okay, last couple statements from each of you. What would you say, what would you like to share, brief sentence or two, you would like to share about the program?
About the program. Well, can I share? I mean, I'm sitting here listening to Christine and Sherrie, and for me, it's hugely rewarding and just validating to hear that, Christine is sort of our moment of truth. What we do is work for a lifetime, but really what we're trying to do is impact the teachers and make sure that their experience is as positive as possible for their students. And we talk about social emotional learning and the importance of that for students, balancing that. And social emotional learning for teachers is also really important, and listening to her talk about that. For me, I've learned a lot just sitting here listening, and so I appreciate that and wanted to thank you for
So you don't
for
get that
having
very
us.
often, I guess.
Well, it's nice to be able
nice.
to see how what
Excellent.
you're doing is really impacting teachers and students in the way that,
Good.
we hope.
Good. So you feel all good, warm and fuzzy. Good. We like that. We like that. And how about you, Sherrie?
Well, I see the effects of what Christine is doing in the classroom just by looking at her students. Recently, I was in her classroom and I see a lot of smiles. I see students engaged. I see them participating, and they're excited about learning. And I think when you talk about success of a teacher, and she said it earlier, or someone had said it earlier about the progress and just looking at how the students are in the classroom, that's what I feel really proud of. I'm just looking at her students.
Okay. And how about you? What would you say? What last comments about your mentor, about the program, both?
I think it's such a wonderful program. I cannot emphasize enough how necessary I think it is for every beginning teacher to have a mentor. Just having that support. I mean, even if it's weekly, it's once a month, but just having that support was so instrumental in getting me to where I am now. And just wanted to thank Sherrie and Keri. I mean, it's such a wonderful program. All the things that they have to offer, and it's not just Sherrie. I mean, I think she's wonderful. She's amazing. She's my mentor. But all the mentors in the program are so well equipped to help beginning teachers. I just think it's such a fantastic program.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for joining me and for joining us. And I think this has been a fun conversation. It's been a really informative conversation. We don't, I think, hear much about the teachers and about the teacher side and what is really being done to help the teachers. And I, for one, like there to be more respect for the teachers. And I like to look at it as a teaching profession. And I like to make sure that teachers are given that level of respect. So thank you again. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
And hopefully we can have you back at some point to talk more, because I have more questions. Unfortunately, we have to stop today. So thank you once again for joining us. This is Think Tech Hawaii's Education Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. I'm your host, Carl Campagna. Let me also thank Think Tech Hawaii. The entire crew, the entire staff, and everyone involved. This show is wonderful because of them. So thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.